Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this recording. We are sharing information with regards to menopause. It's a topic that is not talked about a lot, yet all of us seem to go through the symptoms of menopause, be it, hot sweats at night or mood swings, lack of energy, or just feeling like something is just not right. And so in an effort to shed some more light, I thought we would bring on these two fabulous ladies today and talk about this very topic. We'll also have another gal joining us a little bit later on, so I hope you can stay right through to the very end. Um, just so that you know, We've well, we'll start here, I guess, with introducing my good friend, Jilly Weeks, otherwise known as Jillian Weeks. And her and I have known each other for, let's see, 20 years. I've watched her grow up from a 19-year-old young woman, surfing with her, skiing with her, hiking, camping, um, windsurfing. I mean, we've kind of done it all. She's a great woman, and she's been blossoming this last year. And her story is just a little bit different than mine, but I think it's going to be wonderful to chat with her. And so I'm doing this 30-day protocol with her for superfoods and seeing how it can balance out my hormones and help me with some of the pain that I'm going through. And also interested to hear about other people's situation and how things are going well. So let me just hand it over to Jill, and we'll do a quick question and answer at the end of this call as well. So here we go.
Hi, everybody. Oh, Jackie, you're so sweet. Thank you. You certainly have watched me blossom into, well, I did meet you in my very young age, and I'm grateful for all the experiences we've shared. You have a heart of gold, and I'm lucky to call you a great friend. And I love that you introduced me as Jilly Weeks. That's how long you've known me, because that's my maiden name. I love it. I love it. You're one of the few that still call me that. I'm known as Jill Dixon now, or Jilly. And um, I wanted to share just a little bit about my story, because Jackie and I have really talked a lot about my story this year. And yes, I did come from a bit of a different situation in the fact that I was postpartum depleted. Um, and I was searching for tools to help me. And I've always been a very good eater. I've been very health minded, conscious, and I've always believed that food is medicine. So when I was struggling that much, I really wasn't sure which way to turn, whether it was on antidepressants or what I was going to do. To be honest, I wasn't feeling like my best self, and it was starting to scare me. So I had heard about this protocol, and because it aligned with my values and just all of my food is medicine, so to speak, I thought I'd give this a try before anything else. And I won't get into my full details, but I know we're talking more about menopause and hormone balancing, and I had a huge transformation for myself, which I was actually very surprised at, because, like I said, I wasn't somebody who was eating a ton of junk, but I can't believe how depleted I actually was. And once I got this protocol in my system, I really became alive again, to the point where I had many people notice and stop me on the street and just ask me what on earth I had done in such a short time. And it was amazing. I had lost my 16 pounds of postpartum. I felt like I was back, in the sense that my brain fog was gone. I had so much more energy and was more present with my family. I had muscle stuff and pain and inflammation go down or go away. And one of the big ones, speaking of hormones for me, was that I used to suffer from PMS so badly that it was to the point where it terrified my own family at times. They would steer clear of me. My back was sore. I was just in such a terrible mood and couldn't get out of it. And the first month that I had done this protocol, not even thinking about it, one day I just got my period, and there was no signs, there was nothing coming. Like, I thought my usual suspects, and I just went, Okay, you gotta be kidding me. So this is something that I use daily, and I've been on it for a year and a half, and it is really bringing out my best self. I've continued to stay with balanced hormones, and I hope leading into my later years, into my 40s, that this will help with my menopause as well. And somebody that I want to bring on is my dear friend Rachel, who I got to meet through this program. And Rachel is a scholar of nutrition. She's a former Ayurvedic practitioner. She is a wealth of health knowledge. If you ever have any questions, just ask Rachel. And she's currently being certified as a regenerative health practitioner as well, which is really amazing. It's the science and the cellular, backing behind everything that we do. So I want to bring Rachel on because she's the one that she knows a lot about menopause and all things health. So, Rachel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate being here. And thank you. Your story is so inspiring to me, Jilly. Just every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Thank God we found each other and you're able to, transform your health for not just yourself, but for your family and like the impact it's had on your kids and your marriage and everything. It's just been really amazing. And it's prepared you for this incredible move, this like amazing feat that you just went through where you just needed to like rally and have a ton of energy. You did it. So, a little bit about me, my background. As Jilly said, my background is in Ayurvedic nutrition. So I was an Ayurvedic practitioner for a while, and until until I then discovered this protocol and realized that this could really transform a lot of people's health, and so I started incorporating this into my practice. And so, just my own personal story and journey is I actually was struggling with Hashimoto's autoimmune disorder of the thyroid, which was, just incredibly fatiguing. I had adrenal fatigue, I had brain fog, I was struggling with bloating. I was cold all the time. I was anemic. I also had vertigo for a period. And I was just really, really struggling with my own health. And, I had been looking, I've been sick for about 9 years, but then I'd been looking for ways to transform my own health. And that was actually how I became an Ayurvedic practitioner, was because I was really the wounded healer trying to fix myself. And so I really dove into those studies. I helped myself a little bit, but that didn't really do much. And I still was going like, wow, why can't I get better? And I just made a decision one day that I was going to get well, and I had no idea. Oh, by the way, I'd also lost my period. That's why this kind of ties into the menopause story. I was 42, my period stopped. And I was under a lot of stress. So I think that was part of it. But anyway, I found this protocol. And after that prayer, after I said, enough's enough, I'm going to get well, and I'm going to find a way come hell or high water. And this protocol came to me, and I looked at all the ingredients. I vetted the products. I brought them to my teacher, the founder of the school I was in. She looked at it and she said, this is Tridoshik. This is really good. This is going to help you. Definitely do it. And I said, okay, I got your blessing. So I went for it. And within a very short period of time, there's like three portions. There's like a 10-day prep, a 10-day cleanse, and then a 10-day continuation lifestyle. And I did that about 3 days into my immersion, we call it, aka kind of like a cleanse. My health completely transformed. So everything I'd been experiencing before, the fatigue, the brain fog, the energy, the unclarity, every single thing was gone. Like all my symptoms. And within a month, my period came back. So I knew that everything was balancing my body. My hormones became regular. My fatigue was gone, like completely gone. It's been 7 years that I've been just sustaining that now with no fatigue. None of those symptoms came back. And I just had my blood work done about a couple months ago. And all my blood work is normal. Like my anemia is gone. And so it's really incredible to me that I was able to completely transform my health and just, become social again, because that was also an issue, was I didn't want to be around anybody. So it really impacted my life in terms of I was able to start having a life. Prior to that, I was concerned I was going to be I was concerned that I was going to dwindle through my savings and I was going to be, homeless for the rest of my life. And I'm not even kidding. Like that was how I visualized my future. I was like, I'll just be the lady in the car begging for money, like, and so, so this is something that's really impacted my entire life, including my future and how I can see myself moving forward. And so, a little bit about menopause, and then we'll go to Tanya to share her story. What I have come to learn about menopause, and so I have a lot of different information coming into my world from looking at it from an Ayurvedic standpoint, in terms of heat rising, and in terms of the elements, the constitution and elements, and our own individual constitutions and imbalances. I can look at it from the point of toxicity. I can look at it from the point of view of regenerative health, which looks at the body in terms of toxicity and nourishment. And so, one of the things that happens when women are going through menopause is, here's the thing. Let's distinguish terms, okay? So when people think of menopause, they think of all the side effects, right? They think of usually we think of like, oh yeah, hot flashes and all the hormonal changes and all like the imbalances, right? All the things that are like symptoms of menopause. But when we look at what it represents, is we're saying, well, this is what comes with the change of life when we stop having our period. So let's look at something really interesting. People have those same symptoms of menopause at different times. Some people have it before, some people have it after that the period stops, and some people have it during, and some people don't even have it. And some people have it years later, some have it years before. So what I want to point out is there's a real inconsistency with when those symptoms occur. The interesting thing part about that is that it's because it actually is not related to the period. It's related to the time and accumulation of toxins. It's actually related to the amount of time you've been accumulating toxins. Because a healthy person, a healthy woman, or a healthy person in a female body has the ability to actually sustain their menstrual cycle all the way through their 60s. So if we lose our menstrual cycle before our 60s, it just means that we've accumulated a certain amount of toxicity and have lacked a certain amount of nourishment a little bit too quickly. And we can avoid that. And the only other thing is that we can also reverse that process. And I'm not saying that we can reverse and we're going to necessarily all get our periods back like I did. I was a little bit young, right? But what I'm saying is that we can actually completely reverse the toxicity in our body, and we can nourish ourselves to the point that those symptoms can start to go away. So those symptoms are, hot flashes, is the liver heating up, right? And so there's like toxicity and buildup, and that stuff needs to we need to detox the liver. Certain things that happen often. Another thing too that's becoming apparent is that menopausal symptoms, so we'll just distinguish symptoms from the change of life. The symptoms are also often an implication of an advanced form of Epstein-Barr virus. So this can actually be, we can mistake what's menopause for actual symptoms that can alert us to, hey, there's pathogens in my body. There's a viral load in my body. All we have to do is, here's how we get rid of pathogens. Very simple. We starve it and we kill it. Okay? We can starve it by not eating the foods that feed it, and we can kill it by eating foods that attack it. Does that make sense? All right, because it's a very simple concept. So in other words, we nourish and we detoxify. So Ann Wigmore, mother of the wheatgrass movement, told the founder of these products, the actual superfoods that we have all aligned ourselves and started using, this is what she told the founder. She said, hey, if you want to create health in the body, there's only two things you need to do: detox and nourish. So detoxing is removing all the chemicals, metals, all the things that feed, all the toxins that feed the pathogens. We nourish our bodies, and then our bodies and all of our bodies and antibodies can start killing all those pathogens, right? So all of a sudden our body goes to work and starts killing the pathogens. So we're detoxing, we're removing the food for the pathogens, and then we're attacking the pathogens with all kinds of chlorophyll and phytonutrients. There's another way we can look at this. We can call this alkalizing the body. So there's an acidic body, and then there's an alkaline body. Our blood has to stay a pH balance of 7.4. It will do everything it can to protect the blood. The blood must be 7.4 or we die. It can't even veer from 7.4. That is just like the alkalinity that the blood needs to have. So in order to create an alkaline environment, we have to be like Jilly, sitting there drinking her green drink. Jilly with her green drink. That is alkaline food right there. That's got chlorophyll, it's got spirulina, it's got barley green juice, it's got all different kinds of greens. It's got some possibly, if you have the super meal love shake, then that has also some sprouted greens in there. So studies show that when you have an alkaline environment, bacteria and pathogens can't exist. They literally can't live in an alkaline environment. So another way to put this is we are alkalizing our bodies. And so I recommend that we do this for 90 days. Now, we want to alkalize our body for the rest of our lives, but those first 90 days is not only us detoxing, which can take a while. Because imagine if it's taking you this much time to accumulate enough toxins to create all these symptoms, how long is it going to take you to detox? Actually, quite a bit quicker than it took to accumulate, but it's still going to take some time. So the first month is really like prepping your body, starting a detox. We're basically setting the grounds. We're detoxing the gut. We're making it so the gut has better nutrient absorption. We're clearing the pathway of the gut, cleaning the gut lining. We're clearing the gut and rebuilding the villi that are the absorbed nutrients. We're rebuilding that. And then we're allowing all this nutrients to come in. And then our body's like, oh, it's just like drank through a straw, like, oh my gosh. You know, when you feed when you feed your plants and they just kind of like, you have a wilted flower, a wilted potted plant behind you. If that was wilted, you just add some water the next day, it's like alive. It doesn't take that much. Our bodies are going to come alive like that. So I have a friend who was my yoga teacher, and I introduced this to her, and she was struggling with menopause. She said, oh my God, I have hot flashes all the time. Not only that, she goes, my joints are aching. I'm in pain all the time. And she goes, I don't even know if I can keep this yoga studio open this year. I think I'm gonna have to close it in the next few months because I can't not teach 7 classes a day. She was 50 years old and she was, having this whole change of life. I said, well, try this. Let's see if this works for you. I didn't know that much, but I just said, well, let's give it a try and see what happens. And long story short is she woke me up out of Shavasana one day. I thought that was really funny that I've never had a yoga teacher like wake me up in the middle of Shavasana. And she's like, Rachel. I was like, what? And she goes, oh my God. She goes, I have to tell you. She's like, nobody else is paying attention, so I can talk to you right now, kind of a thing. And I'm like, except I'm in Shavasana, but okay. And she said, she goes, all the pain in my body's gone. I literally skipped to work today. She goes, I was skipping. I said, that's fantastic. Okay, I'm going back to sleep. And she said, no, but I don't have any more pain. And she's like, and my hot flashes are gone. And I'm sleeping through the night. She goes, I feel fantastic. She goes, I just feel like I shaved off 20 years. And I just feel like young again, youthful. And I said, that's fantastic. And I was like really excited about that. And she ended up sharing it with her entire studio. And she ended up helping like her entire studio do a group transformation and was really excited to see all the different dramatic changes that happened in her studio. And this is not only the first, and I won't tell you all the stories because we're going to let Tanya share her story, but this is basically just an example of what's possible when we detox. And it didn't take her that long. It was like within the first 30 days, she got her energy back and her whole life was transforming. It's always too good to be true. Like I really couldn't imagine that I was going to get well. It just seemed like a pipe dream. So when I did, it felt literally miraculous. So I'll stop there and we can have Q&A at the end if you have questions about anything I said, but we'll just move on to Tanya, one of my dear friends. She's also a fitness instructor. And her son, Kai. Tanya, share with us your story. You're such an inspiration to me. I love you so much.
Oh, thanks, Rach. Thanks for having me, you guys. Mommy on the run here. We're multitasking, so bear with me. We're at a fun center. Yeah. Okay. So, let's see, in a nutshell, what do I want to say? I am a fitness and nutrition coach, have been for about 24 years, and celebrated decades of optimal health. Honey, you can't interrupt again, okay? And because it was just what I lived and breathed and believed in, and it was just a natural extension of who I was, and I always felt and looked amazing. And then in my late 40s, long story short, I found myself in a surprising health crisis. And what that looked like was suddenly I became a mother late in life. And so there was unprecedented stress associated with that. I was perimenopausal at the same time. So I had been starting to lose my period. I didn't have a lot of symptoms, but just that really. And, but I started getting these strange rashes all over my body, like scary, where I almost ran to the hospital one time. It's still unexplained, but I think it was a autoimmune response of some kind. Now, of course, I know, circling back to what Rachel was saying, some sort of, pathogen explosion, something going on because of stress. And my skin started getting I just started aging really quickly. I was about 46 and suddenly my skin was crepey and dry. And I actually lost a lot of weight dramatically, and I didn't have weight to lose, all very stress oriented. And then I sort of took that in stride a little bit because I was a new mom. And really the word that I used was fundamentally depleted. I was so depleted. I stopped sleeping, of course. I had a baby, and even when he was sleeping, I wasn't, because I was so stressed, as mothers know. And so I was exhausted, and that was exacerbating all of these problems. And it basically shot me like a rocket into full menopause, which then started hot flashes and night sweats. And I was a disaster. I was miserable, absolutely miserable, crying all the time in my doctor's offices. Like, I couldn't believe this was a thing, that this was real, like this kind of fall from grace, fall from health that I had. I just didn't understand. I was like, are you kidding me that women go through this? Like, this is real. This is unbelievable. And everything that I knew, all the tools in my box weren't working. After losing a bunch of weight, I gained a bunch of weight, not a bunch, but for me, it was a lot, and I couldn't lose it. And again, all the tools in my box, nothing was working. And I was doing the green juices in the morning. I had always been eating really clean plant-based diet, not perfect. And I actually wasn't super focused on organics at the time, but I'd been raised vegetarian anyway. I was pretty clean eater. And so I hired a dietitian, this brilliant homeopathic PhD dietitian who I'd worked with years before. And she 30 years before that, was talking about inflammation and so forth. So I, like Rachel did, I sent all of these products, these nutrition products that Rachel just talked about. I also vetted them. I sent them off to her, and actually, let me back up. I worked with her for about a year before I found this protocol, and she had me juicing and on a special broth. And basically all of that was designed to flood my body with vitamins and minerals. Ultimately, ladies, what we discovered was that I was malnutrition, which just seemed so bizarre, because I had a gut of steel. I could eat anything. I never had an upset stomach. I was doing green smoothies every morning and eating salads and vegetables. I mean, it made no sense. And she taught me, this is about 7 years ago. She was the first one to really teach me about gut and liver health, and the combination therein, and the connection therein, and the connection to hormones and the liver. And so I did what she said. We just massively improved my nutrition load. And I started to feel better. My skin got better. That was the first thing that changed. I didn't lose any weight, and I was still tired. But things started to get better. But about a year and a half into it, I was still just really frustrated that I couldn't lose about 15 pounds. And I was still so exhausted all the time. So that is when Rachel introduced me to this 30-day protocol. And I tell you what, within 2 weeks, it like gave me my life back. And I'm not kidding. So Rachel said it was like too good to be true. It really was. The first thing that happened was I had all my energy was restored. So I had elevated, consistent energy all day long, even when I was still only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. If that had been the only thing that had changed, you can imagine that it would have been enough. It was amazing. I had also recently opened a fitness studio, so I needed to have energy. I was a single mom with a 18-month-old at the time. I needed to have energy. And by the end of around 30 days, all the weight had just come off, like as a secondary reaction to what I was doing. I wasn't even that focused on that. I was really focused on energy and all that. And then my skin started to improve. I had color back in my face and my eyes were brighter. I mean, literally brighter. And I've since then helped a lot of clients in the same way, do the same protocol, and the same thing. A couple weeks in, they walk into my studio and you can just see literally wrinkles have dissipated, have reduced, and colors back in. It's really amazing. Really amazing. So it gave me my life back. That was 3 years ago. I've never gone a day without it. I'm totally menopause symptom free. And when I say that I was the textbook worst case scenario, I'm telling you, it was bad for me. And it did take some time for my hot flashes and night sweats to go totally away. But I would say within 3 to 6 months of doing this protocol, that was gone. And holy hallelujah, ladies, if you have experienced what I experienced, I literally every day am still, and like I'll still have moments where I make myself go back and remember how desperate I was, how physically miserable and uncomfortable I was in my menopausal symptoms, and that I don't have them anymore. So again, I don't go a day without it. It's just, and there's all kinds of other things that have happened from that. But, my hair, 6 months later, I had the longest, strongest hair of my life. And I had never had really thick hair, but it was like, even my hairdresser was like, oh my God, what's going on with your hair? She's done my hair for 20 years. And I said, I started nourishing my body, which I thought I had been doing, but I wasn't. So I just leave you with the fact that if this could happen to me, somebody whose my lifetime since I was 18 and first walked into the gym, and I've been helping mostly women, but people up level their health and get, lose weight and all that. If I could find myself at 46 years old, depleted and malnourished, and I was not eating the standard American diet, then it truly can and is happening to everybody. So if you feel terrible, you're not alone, and you shouldn't be alone, and you shouldn't be suffering alone, and know that there is a solution. It's simply about finding information. And I know that's, why Rachel and I are so passionate about sharing this information. So I hope that helps somebody. And I'm so grateful, Rach, for you introducing me to this. It's, it's just given my life back. So thanks, you guys.
Wow. Well, listen, I just wanted to jump in and say thank you, Tanya, for spending a little bit of your family time with me here today to talk about this super important topic that I think is really, a lot of women probably feel a little bit of shame associated with it, because it's kind of embarrassing when you're mood swinging around and your hot flashes, and it's like we have to accept that we're at this new phase of our life. And I'm so surprised at the number of responses I've received just from making a few posts about menopause, and how people are like, thank you, keep talking about this, keep shedding some light on it, and whatnot.
Yeah.
So and Rachel, thank you too for sharing your story, and Jilly, really appreciate that as well. And thank you to our viewers who are watching this. And listen, if you are interested and you want to ask some questions, by all means, reach out to us. We'll stop the recording right now, but you can always reach out to me or Jill or Rachel and or Tanya, and we can answer questions.
Can I say one more thing before we stop the recording? Because I think it's important. So my mother, a lot of people think that menopause, there is sort of a genetic component, right? That it's inherited, that you have the same experience as your mother. So my mom had really bad menopause too. But she had no solutions. So easily 10 years, easily. She just suffered in silence. And I am not repeating that pattern, because we have a solution. So I just want people to know that I'm very much like my mother. We have a lot of similar health, and but I'm not repeating that. So just know that that's not true. It might be normalized, but it doesn't mean it's normal.
I hear you, Tanya. I know my mom suffered for easily 10 plus years as well. No solution out there for her. Hormonal up and down, crying in the kitchen for no reason. And I would say for probably the last 5 or 6 years, I've been going through it as well. And it's getting to the point now, like there's just pain throughout my body that just is so uncomfortable, and it just feels like, wow, if this gets any worse, it is going to be debilitating. So I'm super excited to do this journey and walk alongside you gals and see how this can help, and just watch as we go through this process. So
Great. Thank you so much, Jackie. And just a word about inflammation. Inflammation means there's a pathogen, or there's, bacteria, there's something that the body's trying to get rid of. So again, leading back to what's the viral load, what's the pathogenic load, what bacteria or toxins are in the body that the body's reacting to, that has been possibly accumulated over time, and it's now at a point of critical mass where all the helpers are coming in, all the helper T cells, and are just like, let's attack. So yeah, we're gonna talk. Well, thanks for everybody for listening, and I look forward to, we can all connect too. You're all welcome to have a conversation with us on the side if you want to have some more one-on-one support. So yeah, I'll stop the recording and we'll go to Q&A.
great.